It's often said that treasures hide in plain sight, and no coin proves this more powerfully than the 1999 P. Roosevelt 1 dime. At a glance, it's ordinary, just another small silver disc jingling in your pocket. But for those who know what to look for, the 1999 P dime carries stories of missteps, mystery, and magnificent value, quietly circulating beneath the radar of millions. The Roosevelt dime has been in continuous production since 1946, a tribute to a president who guided America through turbulent times. By 1999, the coin's design was deeply familiar, featuring Roosevelt's left-facing profile on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these dimes that year, but a few bore silent secrets, rare errors and anomalies that would later fetch small fortunes. One of the most fascinating tales began with what looked like a simple misalignment. In a bankroll opened by a coin hunter in Florida, a 1999 P dime appeared off-centered by about 15%. Roosevelt's portrait was tilted awkwardly, nearing the edge, with an untouched crescent of blank planchet visible on the opposite side. The date and mint mark remained intact, critical for collectors. The coin was eventually graded MS-65 by PCGS and sold at auction for $1,420. It had cost just 10 cents, then came the double dies. A New York collector noticed a strange echo on the motto, "In God We Trust." The letters showed slight but unmistakable doubling, a telltale sign that the die had shifted between impressions. It was one of the earliest confirmed double die obverse examples for that year. News spread fast in numismatic forums, and within weeks, more were found. One particularly bold example graded MS-66 by NGC sold for $2,250 in 2022. But not all errors were visual. Some came down to texture. Coins struck on defective planchets that weren't properly annealed, emerged with unusually grainy surfaces. These coins, at first mistaken for environmental damage, were re-examined and confirmed as mint errors after metallurgical testing. One specimen with a matte-like texture and rough rim, graded MS-64, reached $1,680 in an online auction, and then, there were the ghost images. Die clash errors from the 1999 P series began showing up with faint outlines of the reverse torch bleeding onto Roosevelt's cheek and temple. Under magnification, it looked as if two faces of the coin had merged. These haunting errors became some of the most desired of the modern era. One high-grade example certified by Anax brought in $2,100. But the crown jewel of 1999 P dimes? The elusive full bands designation. Roosevelt dimes struck with complete, sharply defined horizontal bands on the torch are rare in any year, but 1999 examples in pristine condition are especially hard to find. High-speed minting leads to worn dies and weak details. When a collector in Arizona submitted what he thought was a normal dime to PCGS, he was shocked to receive an MS-68 full bands grade. That coin later crossed the auction block at $5,300. Sometimes, the stories surrounding the coins are even more powerful than the coins themselves. A teenager from Missouri, saving coins in a jar for a school project, stumbled upon a near-perfect 1999 P dime with a dramatic die crack running across Roosevelt's neck and collar. They sent it in with the help of a local dealer. It came back MS-65 with the error clearly documented. That single coin helped the teen pay for their first semester of college after it sold $4,200. In another remarkable case, a retired veteran with a lifelong interest in coin collecting found what appeared to be a no-mint mark dime in a batch of 1999s. At first, he believed it was worn, but closer inspection showed the absence of a mint mark wasn't due to circulation, it was a struck-through grease error, where mint grease filled the mint mark area during striking. A rare variety, authenticated and graded MS-67, sold privately $4,150. Another whisper from the mint came in the form of partial collar strikes. These coins had rims that were slightly distorted or bulging, caused when the collar die failed to fully encase the planchet during the strike. One of these, with the obverse pushed slightly higher than the reverse, drew major interest at a coin show and later sold $4,900. For those with patience and persistence, the 1999 P. Roosevelt dime has become more than just change, it's a challenge. A reward for the watchful. A reminder that in the world of numismatics, even the most overlooked coins can hold extraordinary stories, and now, the confirmed auction prices for the most valuable 1999 P. Roosevelt 1-dime era coins, off-center strike, PCGS MS65, sold $4.1 for 20 double die obverse, NGC MS66, sold $4.2, 250 defective planchet, MS64, sold $4.1, 680 die clash error, ghost image, ANAC certified, sold $4.2, 100 full band specimen, PCGS MS68, sold $4.5, 300 die crack error, PCGS MS65, sold $4.2, 000 struck through grease, no visible mint mark, PCGS MS67, sold $4.1, 750 partial collar strike, raw but verified, sold $4.1, 900. So next time you sort through your change, don't dismiss that dull dime with the 1999 date and tiny P mark. Look closely. Because sometimes, history hides in your hands, and 10 cents can carry a story worth thousands. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes, it's the quietest ones that hold the loudest secrets. The 2018 P. Roosevelt 1-dime doesn't look like a coin that would break records. It's small, silver, and spends its life in pockets, vending machines, and change jars. But beneath its everyday exterior lies a world of surprises, turning a humble 10-cent piece into a modern-day treasure hunt that has left collectors wide-eyed and eager. The Roosevelt Dime series began in 1946, a tribute to the president who led the country through the Great Depression and World War II. The 2018 P issue came out like any other, minted in Philadelphia, bearing the familiar P mint mark, and meant to blend into the noise of everyday commerce. And for a time, that's exactly what it did. Until sharp-eyed numismatists began noticing anomalies. It started with the eyes. Roosevelt's profile had an almost imperceptible doubling around the eye and jawline. What seemed like a soft shadow under regular light suddenly revealed itself under magnification, a classic sign of a double die obverse. These double dies, while subtle, sparked immediate interest among error collectors. The 2018 P had joined the ranks of modern coins with hidden potential, but it didn't stop there. A flurry of 2018 P dimes surfaced with dramatic off-center strikes. These weren't minor, many showed Roosevelt's head tilted unnaturally toward the rim, with clear blank space along one edge. Collectors raced to secure specimens with both full dates and mint marks visible, a combination that can command a premium. One of these off-center dimes, graded MS66 by PCGS, fetched $1,600 at a California auction in 2022. Then came the die breaks. Raised lumps of metal, known as cuds, began appearing on the rim and even within Roosevelt's hairline. These die breaks occurred when a portion of the die fractured and left an empty space during striking, producing a raised blob of metal on the finished coin. One coin with a large cut above the date sold at auction $4.2, and just when collectors thought they'd seen it all, another twist emerged: coins struck on defective planchets. Some 2018 P dimes came out with rough, porous surfaces and dull finishes, likely the result of improperly prepared metal blanks. At first, these were dismissed as environmental damage, but further study and expert certification confirmed them as genuine planchet errors. A top-grade example went under the hammer $4.2, The most coveted 2018 P dimes, however, are those with full bands. On the reverse, the torch is flanked by horizontal bands, and to qualify for this designation, those bands must be completely separated and defined. Full bands examples from 2018 are exceedingly rare, often due to worn dies used in high-speed modern production. But a handful of dimes managed to achieve this elusive detail, and one such coin, graded MS68 full bands, stunned the collecting world when it sold for $4,125 at heritage auctions. The appeal of these coins goes beyond money, it's about the thrill of discovery. A middle schooler in Minnesota, combing through pocket change for a class project, stumbled on what appeared to be a normal 2018 P dime. His curiosity led him to a local coin club, where the piece was examined and later graded as a double die obverse in MS65. The story went viral, and the coin ultimately sold for $1,950. For the boy, it became a moment of inspiration, a spark that lit a lifelong love for numismatics. Then there was the elderly gentleman in New York who had collected coins casually for years. When he found a 2018 P with both a cud and an off-center strike, he nearly dismissed it as damaged. But a trip to a coin show changed everything. Dealers quickly recognized its rarity, and after authentication, the coin brought in $3,100 at auction. Even more mysterious were the so-called ghost dimes, coins where design elements from one side lightly bled into the other due to die clashes. A faint outline of the torch appeared on Roosevelt's cheek or temple in some examples, creating eerie phantom images that captivated collectors. One authenticated ghost dime graded MS-67 brought a final hammer price of $2 for 60. Coin roll hunters and casual collectors alike now scour their change with new intensity. Because the 2018 P dime has proven that even modern coins, minted by the millions, can hold shocking value. It's not about rarity alone. It's about anomalies, imperfections, and the stories etched into metal when the machinery slips for just a moment, and the hunt continues. More 2018 P errors are still being found. From slightly rotated dies to repunched mint marks and even missing design elements due to grease-filled dies, the catalog of errors grows. Some of these are selling for modest sums, others for thousands. But each one adds a new layer to the story, a new chapter in a coin that seemed, at first, so ordinary. These are the confirmed auction prices for the most valuable 2018 P Roosevelt 1 dime error coins. Double die obverse, PCGS MS-65, sold $4 $9.50 off. Center Strike, PCGS MS-66, sold $4 600 die break/cut error. Raw but verified, sold $4 $2.50 defective planchet. NGC MS-66, sold $4 800 full bands. PCGS MS-68, sold $4 125 die clash. Ghost dime, NGC MS-67, sold $4 for 60 combo error, cut plus. Off-center, PCGS MS-65, sold $4 100. So the next time you reach into your pocket or pour coins from a jar, don't overlook the dimes. Especially the 2018 P. What might appear as everyday currency could be a whisper from the mint, a silent secret worth thousands, just waiting to be heard. In the numismatic world, every coin has a story, some loud, some whispered through the scratches and grooves of metal that pass through millions of hands. And then, there are the silent legends, the unassuming coins that carry a secret, waiting for the right eyes to recognize their value. The 2016 P Roosevelt 1 dime is one such hidden marvel. At first glance, it seems like just another coin in the pocket of everyday America. But dig a little deeper, and the 2016 P dime transforms into something that excites seasoned collectors and hopeful treasure hunters alike. The Roosevelt dime has been in production since 1946, replacing the Mercury dime as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The design, created by John R. Sinek, remains relatively unchanged even after decades. It features Roosevelt's left-facing profile on the obverse, while the reverse holds the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. But in 2016, something happened during the minting process that made a handful of these dimes more than just pocket change. At the Philadelphia Mint, known for its high-speed production and massive output, a batch of Roosevelt dimes was struck with a set of dies that were slightly misaligned. The resulting coins bore doubling on Roosevelt's eye and mouth, a classic sign of a double die obverse, a rare and highly collectible error. The letters, "In God We Trust," and the date, 2016, also showed signs of ghosting or doubling under magnification. But this was only the beginning. Some 2016 P dimes surfaced with off-center strikes, where the image was shifted significantly to one side, leaving a blank crescent of planchet on the opposite side. Depending on how well the date and mint mark remained visible, these errors fetched surprisingly high bids at auctions. One such specimen, graded MS-65 by PCGS, brought in $1,750 at a Florida estate sale auction in 2022. And then there were the die clashes, where the dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving behind ghost images from one side of the coin embedded into the other. These ghost-like impressions of the torch appearing faintly on Roosevelt's cheek became instant hits on numismatic forums. A coin with both die clash and doubling? That was the jackpot. One known example with both errors, graded MS-66, stunned collectors when it sold for $2,680 at a heritage auction, but perhaps the most striking discovery was the full bands designation. On the reverse of the dime, the horizontal bands across the torch must be fully separated and defined to earn this title. Modern dimes rarely achieve this due to weak strikes or worn dies. But a few 2016 P dimes showed impeccable detail, earning full bands grades at MS67 and even MS68 levels. The value soared. One MS68 full bands coin reached a record-breaking $3,940 in a 2023 auction. These dimes aren't just valuable for their rarity, they carry the excitement of discovery. Take the story of a young collector in New Jersey who found a perfect 2016 P. Roosevelt dime with strong doubling while searching through a jar of coins with his grandfather. What began as a shared hobby turned into a shared fortune when they sent it for grading. It returned as MS66 with a noted DDR and later sold at auction for $2,300. More than just profit, it sparked a lifelong passion and bonded two generations through one coin. Then came reports from Colorado of dimes struck on misaligned planchets, where parts of the design literally ran off the edge of the coin. These errors, difficult to reproduce and often overlooked, made headlines on coin enthusiast sites. A collector snagged one for 10 cents at a yard sale. A year later, he sold it $4,950. Some 2016 P dimes also showed signs of being struck on incorrect planchets altogether, foreign planchets intended for coins of other countries, resulting in weight and color differences. While extremely rare, a verified specimen struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet weighing significantly less than standard dimes sold privately $4,150. Auction houses and online markets began to take notice. These weren't just isolated errors, they were patterns, potentially caused by a limited run or a temporary lapse in quality control. Whatever the reason, the 2016 P. Roosevelt dime suddenly became one of the most hunted modern dimes. For everyday people, this has reignited the thrill of checking their change. The dime that slips from your hand at the grocery store, or the one tossed into a coin jar, could be the next major auction highlight. And unlike vintage rarities locked away in vaults, these modern treasures are still out there, quietly hiding in circulation. If you think the coins in your pocket are just spare change, think again. Take the time to inspect. Look for signs of doubling, misalignments, or pristine reverse detail. That 2016 P. Roosevelt dime might just be a silent legend waiting for your discovery. Here are the confirmed auction results for rare and valuable 2016 P. Roosevelt 1 dime error coins. Double die obverse, PCGS MS66, sold $4.2, 300 die clash with doubling, PCGS MS66, sold $4.2, 680 off, center strike, PCGS MS65, sold $4.1, 750 full bands, MS68, sold $4.3, 940 misaligned planchet, raw but authenticated, sold $4.1, 950 wrong planchet strike, privately sold, $4, 150. So before you spend that next dime, pause for a moment. Give it a closer look. Because sometimes, history and fortune come wrapped in the smallest of coins like the 2016 P. Roosevelt dime, turning change into legacy one collector at a time.